Welcome to the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. I'm your host, Robin L. Owens, PhD, and this is where we dive in each week to give advice, tools, and tips for high-achieving women leaders, and we talk about leadership purpose and its importance for you. I am a college professor, and when I am not doing that, I am speaking, writing, coaching, mentoring, and teaching high-achieving women leaders how to find, and not only find, but how to stay in alignment with their leadership purpose so they can make a meaningful difference right there in their career, leadership, or business. Okay, let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose podcast with Dr. Robin. So glad you're here, and I appreciate you taking the time out of whatever you're doing in this moment to listen in on our episode today. And today I am talking with Whitnie Wiley. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my dear friend and colleague, Whitnie. Whitnie Wiley is the founder of Shifting into Action. She is an author, trainer, consultant, coach, and speaker. She helps new and aspiring leaders build and manage their careers that feed their souls, use their talents and gifts, and finance the lives of their dreams. She does this through training programs, retreats, one-on-one coaching, and group coaching. And even in the midst of all that, she provides consulting and coaching services to organizations. Now, prior to this work with Shifting into Action, Whitnie was a lobbyist and legal counsel for the Association of California Water Agencies. And if that's not enough, she's author of the book, Number One Habit for Success, and the creator of the Simple Leadership Method. As a speaker, Whitnie speaks about finding and loving your work, how to be a better boss, and the importance of saying no to create balance and harmony in your life. And when she's not writing, speaking, or helping clients reach their goals, you can find Whitnie running, cycling, playing golf, or wine tasting with friends, and trying to convince her husband to relocate to Hawaii.
I'm still working on that one.
Welcome, Whitnie Wiley.
Thank you so much, Robin. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here with you.
And I feel the same. I'm so glad that you're here. You're doing so many amazing things. And you and I have known each other for a while. Our paths have been crossing. So I'm glad now we have this moment together. We know about each other, but the listeners may not. So why don't you share with us a little bit more about you and the work you do?
Sure. So, my work with leaders and my work with clients around doing work that they love comes from a period of time when I was doing work that I was not enjoying. I have said in other forums that I was miserable. And it wasn't so much that the work was miserable, although it was that I was taking an attitude of misery with me because of what I was doing. And the things that I discovered during my journey is that ultimately you have to take your happiness with you everywhere you go, right? You have to take your love for the work. You have to find what you love about what you're doing and inject that into your work. And all too often, I think we are employees in particular will move from employer to employer, job to job, because the number one reason is bad bosses, right? Which is the other impetus for the work that I do, which is to keep people from being bad bosses. It's not necessary. And there are simple things that you can do to keep that from happening. It's time intensive, a little maybe labor intensive, but it is possible. And we'll talk about that, throughout your show. But this concept that, people leave their jobs because of bad bosses, even if you have a bad boss, you've got to find a way to show up as your full and authentic self, bringing everything you have to the job each and every day until you make the decision to leave, right? So as long as you're there, you've got to find a way. And so that's what I do. I work with my clients to help them find that way, find the things that they're grateful for, the things that they love about the work. Instead of focusing on what they don't like, Let's focus on what you do like. Let's go back to why you took that job in the first place. And then work on being more proactive about what you're doing. And a lot of people have jumped from job to job. It's a reaction to something that's some outside stimulus. And instead of being reactive, get proactive. Get a vision for what you want. What do you want your life to look like? What is the work that you want to do? Do you want it to be meaningful and, provide value and service to other people? What is it that you want to do? Let's focus on that. And then figure out how to earn a living from that, whether it's working for someone else or working for yourself. And a lot of people don't give themselves permission to dream, right? When we're growing up, our parents are very big on helping us dream. And then some day comes along and they're like, that's not realistic. You need to get, right? You need to get serious. You need a job that'll pay the bills. Right. And those dreams that we have are sort of chased out of us. And I'm saying, let's put the dreams back in. Let's get, connected to who we are and what makes our soul sing, and figure out how to do work that does that. And we can get paid for it. There are all kinds of things that people are doing today to make a living that they didn't do 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 100 years ago, right? Nobody made money renting out their house on Airbnb like 20 years ago, or driving their cars or driving strangers around in their car. And now you don't even have to drive strangers around. You can just rent your car to other people and make money, right? You're working at home, right? Because of the pandemic. Why not rent? You're not using your car. Why not? So, if we will allow ourselves to just be unlimited and let our minds go and just dream of what we want, the how will come. And we just have to give ourselves permission for that. So that's what I do. I'm helping people to do that, to dream again, to explore possibilities, opportunities, potentiality. And then on the leadership side, helping, and I know we're going to talk about this because this is what you do, how to go from just being a leader to being a great leader. And what that takes.
Yes. Whitney, I'm all inspired. I'm doing the work I love and the work that makes my soul sing. And you even have me all fired up.
I know you do, because I had you on my program, Love Your Work, right? We talked about this last year, a year before last. So yeah.
So your work and my work is aligned. And I love to do that work because I'm so, like you, committed to helping people find the work they love. So if we could hear all your passion and joy and inspiration and motivation, at least I could. I don't know about everyone else. I hope you all do, but we hear it. But let's hear it from you. Tell us more about what you enjoy about the work you do and why.
So I think the thing that really, there are three things I think that ultimately are what I like about my work. But the one that really jumps out is that moment, and you probably have this too, that moment you've been working with someone and they get that aha moment. And there's that spark that is like, oh, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Or, oh, that's how I can get where I'm going, right? That moment. This isn't a great analogy, but it's the analogy that I have. It's like, it's a high. Right? I'll use it in a more cleaner sense. If you are a runner, so I am, and I'm using runners in air quotes. A runner in air quotes. If you exercise, if you run, you get a runner's high. There's a point where sort of the drudgery of what you're doing goes away, and you get this burst of endorphins or dopamine or whatever the cocktail combination of hormones that starts flooding your body is. And then it's like, oh, this is really kind of cool. I could run forever. I could keep working out forever. And it's that same sort of thing in the work that I do as a coach. There's a dopamine rush when my client is like, aha. And it's like, yes, that's what we've been working for, because I don't think my job is to tell people what to do. I don't coach that way. I don't tell people. I try not to give advice that's not asked for specifically, but to be a guide, right? That I have some experiences through my own journey, through the journeys of other clients, observations of people that I know in the corporations that I've worked in, or the work that I did in my training when I was in school, getting my master's degree in organizations, right? So I have this wealth, and I could just spew advice all day long, but nobody wants to hear the advice. They want to know that I am here to help them, right? And the way I do that is by asking questions. You probably do it the same way. Ask questions to get them to draw on their own knowledge, their own deep knowing, because then it resonates more and it will stick. And then you can see this transformation of someone. And that's what I love. That sort of that moment when it's like, again, it's like, oh, and they get it. And it's like that's what this is about. And so I know in that moment that I am doing my work, I'm helping. And I see my job really as three things. And this comes from the spiritual side of me. My job is to love, to serve, and to give. And so I can do that with my gifts and talents and my ability to take complex concepts and make them simple. My ability to step inside someone else's experience and be empathetic with them, but to hold them accountable at the same time. And so loving, serving, and giving. And I use that sort of as my umbrella. And whether it's working with clients on career management side or leadership development.
Yeah. Loving, serving. And what was the other one?
Giving.
Giving, loving, serving.
Giving. Yes.
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with
those. No, you cannot. And if we all did that, what a wonderful world this would be.
It would be. It really would be. And it sounds like you have a lot of experience and expertise in the work that you're doing. And I personally know that you're good at what you do. So in general, people are either thinking about a job or a life they love or work they love or whatever they're thinking about as they're listening now. What is one tip or piece of advice you would give to a high achieving woman or anybody else listening right now?
I think the most important thing we can do for ourselves is, and I knew you were going to ask this question. It was like, so here's my laundry list, and I don't get to share the laundry list. So I tried to figure out how to encapsulate it all. And I would say trust yourself, right? You have done hard things your whole life. You learn to walk, you learn to talk, you learn to read or write and ride a bicycle and all these things, right? And each and every step, it was hard in that moment. You can look back and say, well, it wasn't hard to learn to read or write. That's from your perspective now. At the time, you may have struggled with it. And if it wasn't that, maybe it was learning to ride a bike or swimming or whatever it is. But you've done hard things, relationships with other people, going to school, college, graduate school, whatever. You've done hard things. And if you will just look back and not minimize those things, right? And take them and say, those are my successes. Those are my wins. Therefore, I know I can do these things. And I think we just need to trust ourselves a little more. And part of that trusting is knowing that you have everything that you need right now. And I know women in particular, we tend to be very judgmental about what we think we have and what we don't have, right? One of the things that I know in doing some research is that when it comes to, say, applying for jobs, men don't need to feel like they have every qualification that's on the list. For some reason, women feel like if I don't have it all, I'm not going to apply. Men see a job, a title. They might not even look at the job description. And they're like, I want that job. I'm going for that job. They put an application in. Whether they get it or not is a whole other thing. And women are like, well, I don't have all of the qualifications. And what if they don't? They probably won't. And it's like, okay, well, let them tell you no. Don't take yourself out of the running at the beginning or even before the beginning. Trust that you've done hard things, that you have the qualifications, you have everything you need to do the things that you want to do. And if for some reason you don't, let someone else tell you that. And then figure out how to get around them telling you no, which could mean if there's a particular job that you want and you keep getting the no, there's a roadblock there. Figure out, this is where I am, this is where I want to go. How do I bridge this gap? Right? How do I bridge the divide to get from here to there? But you've got to trust yourself, and you've got to stop trying to think that it has to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect. It can't be perfect. And if you're waiting for perfection or some perfect moment to take action, you're always going to be behind the eight ball. And there's no reason for that. So if there's something that you want, trust that you have what you need. And if you truly don't, if you can step back and objectively see that you don't have something, rather than just the voices in your head that, quite frankly, are trying to protect you, right? Our brain is trying to protect us from harm, trying to protect us from rejection. All of that is understandable. So if it is truly something that you're missing, then get it. Set about getting a plan to fill that gap so that you will have, in fact, everything that you need to get forward. So I would say sort of everything is encapsulated in trust. Trust yourself, trust the process. And my third piece of that is the trust God. That's where I come from spiritually. And so I say to myself, trust God, trust yourself, trust the process, and do the work. Right. And that gets me and has gotten me everything that I've wanted, that I've worked for along the way.
Yes. And you said you wanted to kind of encapsulate it all into one, and you did that. And trust does it. Trust does it.
Yes.
The container of all of that.
That was my word for 2020. My word of the year for 2020 was trust. And of course, I picked it before the world went bonkers. So I picked it before that. But in the process of all that was going, I kept reminding myself every day, just trust, 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 and make decisions from a place of trust. Take actions from a place of trust. And I will say that 2020 was my best year yet. I'm not going to say ever, because I'm not done yet.
Right.
But up until, has been my best year. So, and I really equate that to trusting everything along the way. And then my word for the year of 2021 is winning. And by trusting, I'm winning.
Yeah.
So,
yes. Yeah.
Method to my madness.
That's wonderful. And it all started with trust. Well, as you know, my own work is around leadership purpose. So what comes to your mind when you hear the term leadership purpose?
So, there are basically two things. And you say leadership purpose, and I think the purpose of leadership. That's what comes to mind is what is the purpose of leadership? And I think there's a general purpose, and then there's an individual purpose. And so the general purpose is to help the people that you are leading, your team, your family, whatever that team is comprised of in the workplace, maybe your direct reports, or maybe you are a leader as part of a team, but not necessarily responsible for the team, but to help everyone to get to a place where they are bringing their best. All right. If everyone is bringing their absolute best to the table, the team has no choice but to win, to excel, to reach its goals. And so part of this purpose of leadership purpose on the general level is to recognize that is the role of the leader. So I'm Jesuit educated. My degrees are from USF, University of San Francisco, and at St. Joseph, both Jesuit universities, in the leadership. And the leadership philosophy of Jesuits is that we're all leaders. I believe that before I started either program, and that you lead with love. I believe that before I started either program, and both programs just reinforced that what I was thinking and feeling was the right way to go. So the purpose is not about the leader. And I think a lot of times it gets lost that leadership is about a title or a position, right? And it's not that at all. Like I said, we're all leaders. Somebody is leading the little league team, and someone, if you're a parent, you're leading your family. If you're a sibling, maybe the older sibling, I was sort of in the middle, you're leading the younger, right? We're all leading someone. People are always watching. And so the way we lead is by example. But just because we're all leaders doesn't mean we're all good at it. And that's the difference. How do you become good at, or even better, great or excellent at being a leader? And not just stopping for, okay, I'm a leader and let's move on. Or that you've been imbued with some title and then you take all your bad habits into trying to lead people just because you have a title. And that's sort of the impetus for the work the journey that I started on initially, was being around people who were bad leaders. I was like, I don't understand why this is happening. I don't understand why they don't see who they are. I don't understand why they are, this, that, and the other thing. And ultimately, as part of my, sort of misery stage, I had to come to grips with, it doesn't really matter why right? They are who they are. That's not going to change until and unless they decide to make change. So what can I do is help people who are on their journey to becoming, to understand that there's a purpose for them being in leadership beyond getting a bigger paycheck or a title. That there is a bigger purpose, and that is to uplift, empower, and help individuals on the team, and then them to coalesce around a vision that helps the team then to elevate and become better. And then there's the individual piece, which is each person has to make a decision about what kind of leader they want to be. And so they have to decide their own individual purpose. What is my purpose as a leader? So specifically for me, I feel like my purpose as a leader is, and it comes from the leading by example, again, going to love, serve, and give. That's my purpose. My bigger purpose is to glorify God. And then I do that through loving, serving, and giving. I can do that when I'm working with people by helping them to understand who they are so that they can be the best person they can be. When they're better, they lead better. And that's ultimately the philosophy. If you're a better person, you become automatically a better leader. And we are better people when we are not so focused on self. And so, Robin, here's the really interesting part. And it's, I call it the leadership conundrum, is that leadership is not about you, right? But it's very much about you. Because if you don't do the work to be a better person, you're not going to be a better leader. And then you're of no use to the team. So you have to take care of self. You have to grow. You have to learn. You have to master things that you need to master. You need to have self-awareness, which I think is the most important quality that a great leader has. And this is the simple leadership method. You've got to have self-awareness of who you are and how you impact other people, how you navigate relationships, how you build trust, all of those things. And then you've got to be intentional about what it is you're doing. Why are you doing the things that you do, right? And then making conscious decisions to do those things. And mastery, so simple, SIMPLE, mastery. And you master yourself, you master relationships, you master subject matters. There are all kinds of things that you need to learn and ways you need to grow. P is purpose. What is your purpose? Your specific purpose as a leader? What have you decided that is? What is your vision for the kind of leader that you want to be and aspire to be? L is for leverage. How are you leveraging not only yourself, your tools, your gifts, your resources, but that of the team, the collective, right? In order to get to where the team is trying to go. and then energy. It says, well, what are you bringing? Right? Everything is energy. Thoughts are energy. Actions are, all of this is energy. What is the energy you're bringing? I used to have a boss who would say, I have an open door policy. Nobody went into that door except for me. I didn't really have a choice. I had to interact. But we had a conversation one day and he was like, I don't understand why people come to you. Why don't they come to me? I have an open door policy because your energy shuts them down and they don't trust that they can come to you and not get spewed all over. And it's as simple as that. That's why the self-awareness is such an important piece of this. If you don't get who you are and how you're impacting people, then the things that you're doing, the other pieces of this and the things that you're doing are not going to move you where you're trying to go.
Yes, yes. So the simple method is a very strategic and interesting and compelling way to think about your own approach to leadership. So thank you for sharing with us.
Sure.
Now, what if people want to hear more about the simple method or just you or just follow you wherever you are? How can people be in touch with you?
So the easiest way is through LinkedIn. That's where I play. You can reach me there. And actually, I am, along with my business partner, we're going to be doing LinkedIn Live starting very soon. And we're going to be talking about this concept of simple leadership and how it applies. We're going to be starting talking about going back into the office, right? Where we are sort of right now and in this evolution of COVID, post-COVID, is people moving back into the office and what that looks like and how leaders and organizations can do that better. We've got some case studies of organizations that, frankly, I think are not doing it very well. And then others that are doing a good job of that. And the other thing, I'll be doing some series on career management. Another thing that is sort of part of where we are with the pandemic is people leaving their job and what they're doing or not doing, right? And as we are moving to this back to office, more and more people and women in particular choosing to leave the workforce and what that's going to look like. Does that, continue to grow the gig economy and other things? So we'll be talking about that on LinkedIn. And so I'll have a couple of different things going on there. So
we'll be sure to check you out on LinkedIn. I'm going to be checking in for sure on those LinkedIn Lives to hear more about what you're doing and responding to the times and all that we're going through, especially those of us who are women and leaders. So Whitnie, thank you so much for being here. I know you have a full day today and you've been doing so much. To stop by and share your experiences, it's been a joy. Thank you for being here.
It was a pleasure. Anything for you, Robin. Anything. No, I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Okay, everyone, this is the end of our episode for today. And if you want to know more about me, I am robinlowens.com. Actually, that's my website. You can contact me at robinlowens.com or on social media, Robin L. Owens, PhD, and I'll be happy to hear from you. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please rate and subscribe and share it with others who you feel might benefit from our podcast. All right. Bye, everyone. Until next time, this is Dr. Robin. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. If you enjoyed it, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Meanwhile, this is Robin signing off. See you next time.